There was one rule every security guard in the building knew. If the elevator ever showed floor 13, never press it. Mahmoud had recently started working as a night security guard in an old office building on the edge of the city. The job was simple. Every hour, he would patrol the hallways, make sure all doors were locked, and then return to the security room until his shift ended at sunrise. The building had 12 floors. At least, that's what everyone said. That was what the blueprints showed. That was what the elevator buttons showed. And yet, on his very first week, Mahmoud noticed something strange. One night, just after midnight, he stepped into the elevator to return to the ground floor. As the doors closed, he glanced at the digital display above the buttons. For a split second, he saw a number appear. 13. Then it vanished. The display returned to normal as if nothing had happened. Mahmoud rubbed his eyes. He blamed exhaustion. Nothing more. The following night, it happened again. This time the number remained visible for almost a full second. 13. The elevator shuddered slightly before continuing its descent. A chill ran through him. The next morning, he mentioned it to an older security guard who had worked there for years. The old man's smile disappeared instantly. He looked around to make sure nobody was listening. Then he leaned closer. "If you ever see that number again," he whispered, "don't press it."
Mahmoud laughed. Why? The old guard stared at him for several seconds, then he simply walked away without answering. For several days, nothing unusual happened. Mahmoud almost forgot about it. Then came the storm, rain hammered against the windows, thunder shook the building. At exactly 3 a.m., every light in the building suddenly went out, darkness swallowed everything. A few seconds later, the emergency power activated. The lights flickered back on.
At that exact moment, Mahmoud heard the elevator bell ring, ding. He looked toward the security monitors, his heart nearly stopped. The elevator camera was active, the doors were open, and the floor indicator displayed a number that should not exist. 13. The elevator stood open in a hallway that wasn't on any building map. Mahmoud stared at the screen. The hallway was empty. Then someone stepped out, a tall man. Far taller than normal, his skin was unnaturally pale. He wore an old black suit that looked decades out of date. The man moved slowly into the hallway, then he stopped. Without warning, he lifted his head and stared directly into the camera, as if he knew Mahmoud was watching. The monitor immediately went black. Static filled the screen. Mahmoud's hands trembled. He tried switching cameras. Nothing worked. After nearly a minute, the image returned. The hallway was empty. The man was gone. The next night, curiosity overcame fear. Mahmoud decided to find out what was really happening. He waited until 3 a.m. Then he entered the elevator. The doors closed. He pressed the button for the ground floor. The elevator began moving. Suddenly the lights flickered. The display changed. The elevator stopped. The doors slowly opened. Beyond them was a long hallway illuminated by dim yellow lights. The air felt cold. Not normal cold. Dead cold. Mahmoud stepped out. The elevator doors slid shut behind him. He was alone. The silence was overwhelming. No humming machinery. No air conditioning. No distant traffic. Nothing, only silence. He slowly walked down the corridor. After a few minutes, he noticed rows of wooden doors lining both sides. Each door had a name engraved on a brass plate. Hundreds of names. Some familiar. Most unfamiliar. Then he froze. One door carried his name. He rushed back into the hallway. At the far end stood the tall man from the security camera. Motionless. Watching him. Mahmoud turned and ran. His footsteps echoed through the corridor. But something was wrong. No matter how fast he ran, the hallway never seemed to end. And somehow, the tall man kept getting closer. One step. Then another. Then another. Mahmoud could hear whispers. At first they were faint. Then louder. Dozens of voices speaking at once. Thousands of words overlapping. Impossible to understand. Yet they sounded angry. Hungry. The doors around him slowly began opening, one by one. Figures emerged. Human shapes with pale skin. Black eyes. Expressionless faces. They watched him silently. Waiting. Mahmoud sprinted toward the elevator. Finally, he saw it. The doors were closed. He slammed his hand against the button repeatedly. Nothing happened. The whispers grew louder. The tall man continued approaching. Closer. 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 At the last possible second. Ding. The elevator doors opened. Mahmoud threw himself inside. He pressed random buttons. The doors closed. The elevator shook violently. For several terrifying seconds, it felt as if it were falling. Then it stopped. The doors opened. Ground floor. Everything appeared normal. The security room was exactly where it should be. The monitors were working. The clocks were running. It was as if none of it had happened. Then Mahmoud noticed the time. 3:05 a.m. Only 5 minutes had passed. Yet he felt certain he had spent nearly an hour on the 13th floor. The next morning, he decided to quit. Before leaving, he searched through old files stored in a dusty cabinet. Inside he found records of every security guard who had ever worked in the building. Many had disappeared. Others had died under mysterious circumstances. Attached to each file was the same handwritten note, seen on the 13th floor. Mahmoud turned the final page. His hands began shaking. The last photograph was his. A recent photograph. Taken only days earlier. On the back was a message written in black ink. Arrival scheduled, 7 days. Mahmoud left immediately. For the next week he tried to escape. He moved to another city. Changed his phone number. Stayed with friends. Avoided elevators completely. But every night at exactly 3 a.m., he heard the same sound. Ding. An elevator bell. No matter where he was. On the 7th night, he woke suddenly. The sound had come from inside his bedroom. Ding. Mahmoud sat upright. His heart pounded. There, in the center of the room, stood an old elevator door. It shouldn't have existed. Yet it was there. Slowly, the doors opened. Beyond them stretched the yellow hallway. The same hallway. The same endless corridor. And at the far end stood the tall man. This time he was smiling. A wide, unnatural smile. For the first time, he spoke. His voice echoed through the darkness. You are late. The lights went out. Mahmoud vanished that night. He was never seen again. But workers in the building still tell stories. They say that sometimes, at exactly 3 a.m., an elevator will stop between floors. The display will flicker. And for a brief moment, a number appears. 13. If the doors open, you might see a man standing at the end of a yellow hallway. Watching. Waiting. A man who looks exactly like Mahmoud. I left speech bubble ghost. The end.